Hey everyone, let's get into my reaction to episode 8 of Love is Blind Argentina. The episode begins with Tom asking Florfi if she'd want to invite her sister to hang at their place, and Florfi says she definitely needs to introduce him to her family, but since they haven't yet decided they will be getting married, she thinks it will make them uncomfortable. She tells him that even though their connection is strong, she still feels overwhelmed by the marriage situation. I feel like this was really one-sided, as in Florfi was the only one getting cold feet about marriage. Tom seemed like he wanted to progress, especially since he was the one who brought up meeting family, but he's also the type that seems to just go with the flow, and the flow Florfi was going with wasn't heading towards marriage. They finally sit down and talk about the upcoming marriage because the suit and dress fittings are coming up. Florfi tells him that she would love to continue their relationship, but she feels getting married is not the best choice for them right now. She says in her interview that when they started living together, marriage was still a possibility for them, and then she kept waiting for that feeling to grow, but she still doesn't feel ready. A part of me thinks she wasn't all that invested in Tom, or at some point she started to lose feelings for him. On the surface, that might be hard to believe because they seem to get along so well, but given how she's admitted that she joined the experiment with the intention to see it through to the end initially, her changing her mind while being with Tom can indicate that he just isn't the guy she can see herself marrying. The two end up deciding to leave the show before the dress fittings begin. But again, I feel this was largely because of Florfi, only because it really did seem like Tom wanted to continue with her. I don't think their relationship is going to last off camera. Every couple is different, but when you compare Tom and Florfi to some of the other couples, you can start to see that maybe they weren't putting in that much effort towards each other. For example, Santiago brings Emily breakfast in bed to celebrate their 1 month anniversary. Jose Luis takes Florencia out on a romantic dinner. Ezekiel and Julie make pizza together. So, given these examples, I feel like Tom and Florfi were somewhat lacking in their connection. It almost felt like there was no spark between them. And I feel like Florfi didn't want to come out and say she was losing interest in Tom, so she played it off as just not being ready for marriage. I could be wrong though, but that's just my opinion. What did you guys think? Moving on to Emily and Santiago, they appear to be super lovey dovey with each other, especially him bringing her breakfast in bed. That was really sweet. She also shares with Santiago that Augustina is now with Robert, which Santiago thinks is a waste of time, and I agree with him. Augustina has such a strong personality that it's hard to picture her with someone like Robert, who was very passive in my opinion. But who knows, maybe opposites attract. But the type of man Augustina wants is the kind who would treat her like a queen. We saw previously that Robert really struggled to show any effort with Ava, so I have doubts about him meeting Augustina's expectations. We might see more of them in upcoming episodes, which would make it easier to assess their relationship. I don't think it's going to last though. Now, Mauri finally decided to introduce Maria to his daughter Pia, and the meeting goes really well. I was surprised he took this step because I think it shows that Mauri is really serious about Maria because introducing your kid to someone is a huge step, and I don't think he would have taken it if he wasn't serious. Maria was initially nervous to meet his daughter because she remembers her own experience being a kid and meeting her father's new wife. But Mari reassures her that Pia isn't like how Maria was as a child, and that they have different personalities and different zodiac signs. Now, I'm not loving his investment in the zodiac. I don't think it's an accurate way to describe or judge someone. So every time Mari brings up the zodiac, I sort of roll my eyes. I still don't know how I feel about this couple overall. They still seem a bit awkward to me, but at this point, we're not given any reason to believe they won't be making it to the end. But I just don't feel like the personalities vibe very well together. Speaking of not vibing, Jose Luis surprises Florencia by taking her to a romantic dinner. He knows how important these gestures are to her and he's really making an effort, but their date doesn't go so well because Florencia is still trying to get him to put his feelings into words, which Jose Luis finds difficult to do. I feel like Florencia has really high expectations and she's also admitted that she needs constant validation. So, as a partner, I can see how she can be a little overwhelming. But we see Jose Luis constantly trying to make her happy. After their dinner, they do have a conversation about it back at the apartment, and Jose Luis tells her that he feels like he's always being put to the test when he's with her. She denies this, but he tells her that that's just what it feels like to him. He says in his interview that they end up having the same exact discussion on a daily basis. And he tells Florencia he's never asked her to do anything to prove her feelings to him. And this was a valid point. I worry about how this relationship is going to last when one partner is constantly giving and giving while the other is simply receiving and not trying to make the same type of effort. It makes me think they might have issues in the long term after this honeymoon phase dies out. But at this point, Jose Luis is really going above and beyond for her from what we've seen. The next day, he even gives her a cat stuffed animal because she's away from her four cats, which was super sweet of him. He hopes this will give her the reassurance she's looking for. Now, the men and women go to their suit and dress fittings, and here they are all told that Tom and Florfi won't be joining them. Santiago thinks Tom should have come to the fitting because he thinks trying on the suit might have convinced him he was ready for marriage. But again, I don't think it was Tom's choice because Florfi had already decided she wanted to leave, so he really didn't have much of a choice there. Back to the fittings. I really liked Emily's wedding dress. I think it matched her very well, and I loved the lace and the design it had. I didn't like Florencia's dress because it seemed too plain and also sort of looked like lingerie from the top. Did anyone else think that? I wasn't really a fan. Maria's dress was okay. I didn't love it and I didn't hate it. Again, it seemed too plain, but that's what she was going for, I guess. Julie was the only one who struggled finding a dress. She was very picky and didn't really like any of the dresses, so the host promised that they would continue to help her, and if she still didn't find a dress, they'd even make a custom one for her, which I thought was really cool of them to offer. As for the men, I was not really loving Santiago's suit. He chose a light blue suit, and I personally thought a darker color would have gone better with his appearance, but that's just me. Jose Luis also went for a blue, but a darker blue than Santiago, and I thought he looked okay. I think I'm just so used to men wearing dark colors during a wedding, so it was interesting to see all the colors popping out. And Maori was definitely popping out. He chose a shiny maroon suit jacket, and he looked like a villain from some movie. It was really funny, but I thought somehow in some weird way it did suit him. I almost liked Ezekiel's suit, which was gray from the top, but then the camera showed us his pants, and oh my god, I thought those were so horrible. They were a shiny gray color, which made the overall look a little strange in my opinion. At the end of the episode, Emily is telling Santiago that all the other contestants, including Augustina, will be meeting at some place, and Santiago doesn't like talking about the other contestants because he thinks it's a waste of their time to focus on. And they end up having a fight over this, which was so confusing. I think this is what they were fighting about, but I genuinely did not understand why they got so heated if it was this topic. Maybe their argument was over something else, and maybe it's just the editing making it confusing because Emily had said she'd cracked a joke, which Santiago took the wrong way. It was all very confusing, but the next morning they're still feeling weird towards each other, and Emily tries to open up to him and tell him that he hurt her feelings, but Santiago isn't having it and he's not budging. He tells her that he feels like he always gets the blame and always has to compromise. Emily tells him that she is compromising, and in her interview, she says Santiago has a bit of a temper. That's sort of where the episode ends. If you guys understood the situation, please feel free to explain it to me in the comments because I really didn't understand what they were fighting about. I don't think this fight will be the end of them. Couples argue all the time, and I feel like they genuinely are serious about each other, but still, learning to navigate how they act around each other can be a bit of a challenge at this point. So maybe they just need to adjust towards each other's personalities. I think they'll be able to get past this. I'd be surprised if they didn't, just from everything we've seen. That wraps up my reaction to episode 8. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to stay tuned to my reaction to episode 9 of Love is Blind Argentina. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.